Hello everyone, welcome to today's session where we're going to look at the poem The Face That Launched a Thousand Ships by Christopher Marlowe. This 20-line poem is an extract from the tragic drama Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe. This poem appears or features in Act 5th, Scene 1st, which is a celebrated speech by Dr. Faustus. And for the better understanding, I want to share with you the context in which Dr. Faustus speaks these 20 lines. So, Dr. Faustus, the protagonist, who is a German scholar and a magician, and Dr. Faustus is the one who has bartered his soul to the devil Lucifer in exchange for the baser material pleasures of life, such as wealth, women, wine, and power. And this poem occurred at the moment in this tragedy when Dr. Faustus realizes that his time on earth is up and Lucifer and his devils are ready to take his soul to hell as per the bond or as per the bargain which Dr. Faustus has signed with blood. So as according to that bond, he is subjected to eternal damnation, and he will the devils will take his soul to hell. So it is in this context or at this point when, on the suggestions of his scholar friends, Dr. Faustus requests his devil attendant Mephistopheles for reviving Helen of Troy back to life. So here Dr. Faustus requests Mephistopheles for reviving Helen of Troy back to life, because Helen of Troy is the one who is universally renowned as the most beautiful woman of the world. So it is at this point this poem begins, when he requests and Mephistopheles Phyllis revives Helen of Troy, and after watching Helen, Faustus utters these words in the praise of the beauty of Helen. And up to now, I hope that you are getting the sense of this title, The Face That Launched a Thousand Ships. It is clear that this title is a direct reference to Helen of Troy. The face that launched a thousand ships is for Helen of Troy, and it is also giving us indication that she is the one on whose behalf a massive war was mounted, or a prolonged war began on behalf of Helen. So to brief you this mythological story of Helen of Troy, I can say that Helen of Troy might be also called Helen of Sparta, because she was the wife of the Spartan king Menelaus, and this Trojan prince Paris, who was so enamored of the beauty of Helen that Paris kidnapped or abducted Helena. And in this way, Paris invited a prolonged war between Greeks and Spartans. So that's why this statement is usually used for Helen of Troy, the face that launched a thousand ships. And bearing these all mythological factors, let's begin the reading of this poem. It goes thus: was this the face that launched a thousand ships? Now, as I have told you that Dr. Faustus, the protagonist, is familiar with the fact now that his end is very near. He is going to die now, and Lucifer and his devils are going to take his soul, or drags his soul to hell. So in order to escape from his eternal doom and damnation, he wants to seek refuge somewhere, and in this restlessness he just wants to plunge into all sorts of sensual pleasures. And it is at this such sort of his mental state, he conjures up, being a magician, he conjures up the image of Helen of Troy. And when Helen of Troy appears, then after watching her lovely apparition, Faustus gets mesmerized by her dazzling beauty, and being stunned, he utters these words and he says, Was this the face that launched 1,000 ships? So as he is saying that, so this was the enchanting beauty. This was the face which became the cause of launching 1,000 ships and 1,000 Greek ships and began a prolonged war and burnt the topless towers of Ilium. And in this way, as in the long run, this was a prolonged war, and in the long run, even the supreme towers, topless towers, supreme towers of Ilium. Ilium is the famous city of Troy. Even the supreme towers of Ilium uh, gets burnt, and they turns into ashes. They are burnt into ashes due to this prolonged war. So was this the phase due to which this all happened? Then the third line, sweet Helen, make me immortal with a kiss. Now here it is clear that Faustus is seeking immortality through the kiss of Helen, since Helen of Troy is presented as the epitome of beauty, and she is also considered the uh, most desirable women or the most beautiful women in the world. So Faustus believes that uh, the classical beauty of Helen can make him immortal through her kiss. That's why he is saying, sweet Helen, make me immortal with the kiss. Her lips suck forth my soul. See where it flies. Come, Helen, come. Give me my soul again. Now, these two lines, here I want to give you an alert that these two lines may seem to you a sensual declaration of love and romance. But if we see these lines in proper context and by close reading, we can very well find that these lines are actually a painful cry of a dying man who wants nothing but to save his soul from the eternal doom and damnation. And that's why he is saying, the very desperate attempt is very evident, that he is saying that, come Helen, come, give me my soul again. And in this specific line, the dying soul is Dr. Faustus. The desperate attempts are by Dr. Faustus, who is a mortal man who wants to save himself from the clutches of Lucifer and his devils. And in this way, he is seeking refuge and he is seeking his savior in the form of Helen. Here will I dwell, for heaven is in these lips. Now here he is saying that as the doors of actual heaven are closed to him, so now he is seeking heaven, or he is hopeful of finding heaven in the lips and arms of Helen, and he wants to remain attached to her forever. And in the next line, and all is dross that is not Helena. And here in a very cliched love language, he is declaring that whatever is not Helena, that is dross, that is worthless and trash, and all is dross that is not Helena. So he is too enchanted by the, or he is too stunned by the enchanting beauty of Helena, that he is declaring such statements. Next, I will be Paris, and for love of thee, instead of Troy, shall Wittenberg be sacked. Now here he is saying that Paris, as I told you, here is a reference to, this is an example of allusion where this statement is alluded to Paris, the Trojan prince who waged war against the Spartans, or who abducted Helen of Troy. So here Faustus finds himself like Paris, that he is also in love with Helena like Paris. And who can, or here he is expressing his will and desire that just like Paris, he also won't mind if he has to get involved in a fierce battle for the great love of Helen. I will be Paris, and for love of thee, instead, but in his case, instead of Troy, the destruction will be at Wittenberg, because Wittenberg is the birthplace of Faustus in Germany. So that's why he's saying, instead of Troy shall Wittenberg be destructed, Wittenberg be sacked, and I will combat with weak Menelaus. And here is a very in hyperbolic way he is also declaring, Faustus is saying that I am ready to face, or I will also bravely face the chicken hearted Menelaus, who is the husband of Helen. So just like Prince Paris, I will combat, I will bravely face the weak Menelaus, and wear thy colors on my plumed crest. And after the victory, when I, by defeating Menelaus, I will wear Helen's ensign or badge. As a token of his victory, he will wear Helen's ensign or badge on his plumed crest. Plumed means headgear or helmet, and crest is on the top. That on the top of my headgear I will wear the badge of thy colors means thy badge. I will wear Helen's badge as a token of his victory. Yea, I will wound Achilles in the heel. And he is so determined, he is even determined to kill Achilles, the champion of Greeks. And how will he kill Achilles? He will kill him by wounding his heel, as the heel of Achilles, it is a mythological part, as the heel of Achilles is the only vulnerable point. That's why he's saying, I will wound Achilles in the heel and then return to Helen for a kiss. And then after all this these victories for the sake of Helen, I will come back to Helen for a kiss of adoration as a reward. And I will and here this word return is suggesting that his plan is to live forever with Helen, forgetting everything about heaven and hell, redemption and damnation. So here he is saying, and then return to Helen for a kiss. Next, O thou art fairer than the evening air. Now in these all lines are a series of comparisons in which Faustus is comparing the beauty of Helen with the spectacular natural sights, gods and goddesses who are well known for their splendid beauty and the splendid and matchless beauty. So here in the first line, O thou art fairer than the evening air, clad in the beauty of 1,000 stars. Here, so here is saying that the splendid beauty of Helen is far better than, or is more lovelier. It is lovelier than the loveliness of, it is fairer than the loveliness of evening air, which is covered in the numberless shining stars. The evening air which is covered in a numberless shining star, the beauty of Helen is far better and fairer than it. Brighter art thou than flaming Jupiter, when he appeared to hapless Semele. Now here Faustus is claiming that the beauty of Helen excels even the beauty of Jupiter. And here he is specifically, here he is referring the specific or special appearance of Jupiter, flaming Jupiter when he appears, when he appeared. It is a mythological fact that when Jupiter appeared in his splendid or in his glorious brilliance in front of sad Semele, Semele is the priestess of Jupiter. So when he appeared in front of in his full brightness, in his whole glorious brilliance in front of Semele, in even that brightness is faded in front of the brightness of Helen, more lovely than the monarch of the sky, in wanton Arethusa's azure arms. Now here he is saying that Helena is more lovely or is lovelier than the monarch of the sky. Here monarch of the sky is a reference to the sun god Apollo, and monarch of the sky, when it looks very lovely, when it gets reflected in the lake Arethusa's. See the next line, in wanton Arethusa's azure arms. Azure means blue colored. Arethusa is a name of lake, and Arethusa is a nymph also. So here, if we take Arethusa as lake, that so when in a blue colored Arethusa, in a blue colored lake Arethusa, the reflection of sun is seen, or the sun gets reflected, then how lovely it looks. Or when the monarch of the sky, Apollo, when Apollo comes in the arms of Arethusa the nymph, wanton means playful, when playful Arethusa takes the sun god in her arms, how lovely it looks. In the similar way, not, but this loveliness also becomes faded in front of the loveliness of Helen. And none but thou shalt be my paramour. Now here once again he is expressing his resolution that nobody except Helen shall be my beloved or paramour, that Helen will be my beloved, none but thou shalt be my paramour or beloved. So this is what the analysis of this poem, the face that launched 1,000 ships. And if we see the rhythmic pattern of this poem, then this poem is exclusively composed in blank verse. And what does it mean by blank verse? Then this term I have already discussed in one of my previous lectures, the link of which I have given in description below. And now let's have a quick look on the figures of speech deployed in this poem. First is alliteration, and as you know, alliteration is a repetition of the consonant sounds. And as you can witness that in the first there is a M sound, make me immortal, second me my, third thou then, and fourth Arethusa's azure arms. Next one is metaphor, and we can see the use of metaphor in this line, I will be Paris, when Faustus is directly comparing himself to Paris. And then there is hyperbole in this line, I will combat weak Menelaus, a very exaggerating overstatement this is. And at this point I would also like to add that these all terms I have already discussed in detail, and as these are also specifically prescribed in your syllabus, so I encourage you to go through these sessions in which I have discussed these all terms in a very detailed way, the link of which also I have given in the description box. So that's all for today. Thank you for now.